What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another exciting episode of Insane Disappearances. I am your host, as usual, and I am here with a very special, very creepy case. This is of and about the Dyatlov Incident. You know, the part where all those, hikers or campers was found practically ripped to shreds and burnt, skin burnt off and tongue ripped out and eyeballs out of their head. That's what we're going to be talking about tonight. So, without further ado, I'm going to get right into it. Okay, now, as you already know, they were, they was like, doing some camping and all that stuff on an expedition for skiing and everything. Not too much was said about everything and why they was up there other than that part, but it quickly turned in the wrong direction when they were found, and they found their tent was practically torn to shreds because whoever was trying to get out must have ripped it apart just so they can get out of there. Nobody knows what they saw. I have a pretty good idea, but I can tell you right now, it was not a Bigfoot, just so you know. The ones that be thinking that, because if you looked at that documentary that was on the History Channel, and he said they had a picture of this dark, hairy creature off in the distance that may have had something to do with it. Okay, first of all, how many Bigfoot have you heard of that rips tongues out of people's mouths and rips their eyeballs out of their heads? Anybody? I didn't think so. Now getting to the part of the search and discovery, there's a lot of detail with this, so I'm just going to get right to the point of when they were being searched for and then they were discovered. Okay, now before leaving, Dyatlov had agreed he would send a telegram to their sports club as soon as the group returned to Vizhai. These are Russian words, so I'm not very good at pronouncing them, so please excuse me, and I apologize if there's any Russian people listening to my channel. I apologize. I don't want to get them wrong, but I'm not Russian, so I try to do the best I can. But anyway, it was expected that this would happen no later than February 12th, but Dyatlov had told Yudin before his departure from the group that he expected to be longer. When the 12th passed and no messages had been received, there was no immediate reaction. As displays of a few days were common. With such expeditions, it was not until the relatives of the travelers demanded a rescue operation on February 20th that the head of the institute sent the first rescue groups, consisting of volunteer students and teachers. Later, the army and militia forces became involved, with planes and helicopters being ordered to join the rescue operation. On February 26th, the searchers found the group's abandoned and badly damaged tent on Kholat Siak. Sorry about that. I can't really pronounce those words, but I'm trying to do the best I can. But anyway, the satellite baffled. The campsite baffled the search party. Mikhail Sharavin, the student who found the tent, said the tent was half torn down and covered with snow. It was empty, and all the group's belongings and shoes had been left behind. Investigators said the tent had been cut open from inside. 8 or 9 sets of footprints left by people who were wearing only socks, a single shoe, or were even barefoot, could be followed, leading down towards the edge of a nearby woods. On the opposite side of the pass, 1.5 kilometers, 0.93 miles to the northeast. However, after 500 meters, 1,600 feet, these tracks were covered with snow. At the forest edge, under a large cedar, the searchers found the visible remains of a small fire, along with the first two bodies, those of Krivonischenko and Doroshenko, shoeless and dressed only in their underwear. The branches on the tree from broken up. The branches on the tree were broken up to 5 meters high, suggesting that one of the skiers had climbed up and looked for something, perhaps the camp. Between the cedar and the camp, the searchers found three more corpses. Dyatlov Komogorov, I'm trying to get this right. Kolmogorova and Slobodin, who seemed to have died in poses suggesting that they were attempting to return to the tent. Sorry, my tongue is jumping right now. I can't help myself. They were found separately at distances of 300, 480, and 630 meters from the tree. Searching for the remaining 4 travelers took more than 2 months. They were finally found on May 4th under 4 meters of snow in a ravine 70 meters farther into the woods from the cedar tree. These 4 were better dressed than the others, and there were signs that those who had died first had apparently relinquished their clothes to the others. Zolotaryov was wearing Dubininya's fox fur coat and hat, while Dubininya's foot was wrapped in a piece of Krivonischenko's wool trousers. Okay, now, the thing about this case that makes it so weird is that we're talking about photos that they actually televised of badly burned bodies where the skin was completely burned off in certain places, where you saw, I believe, the bottom half of their jaw completely visible, and parts of their body was burned. I think some of it still had the skin on it, but there was still evidence of parts of their face completely burned off. The female that they found, her tongue was completely removed from her mouth or ripped out. Her eyeballs were missing. There's just a lot of gore when they found their bodies. But the one thing that really got me the most was the fact that the documentary that aired on the History Channel had the nerve and audacity to say that they think a Bigfoot had something to do with it when they showed a photo of this dark, hairy-looking creature pretty much looking right into the camera from off in the distance, I say about behind a row of trees. Now, first of all, like I said earlier, what Bigfoot do you know has ever been known to rip the tongue out of somebody? Okay, not saying that they would have done that to an animal. They were surviving in the wild, killing deer or any other kind of wildlife, for food. But there has never been any case of a Bigfoot ripping the tongue out of someone's mouth or removing the eyeballs from their head. So I can tell you right now, it wasn't no Bigfoot. Okay? Now, I've talked about the dark ones on my last video. And then you hear so much about the aliens or grays, as they so call them, who are carnivores when it comes to humans. They devour them. But we're talking about people who were practically burned to a crisp. Bodies were still intact, but they were burnt. Like the skin literally was burned off of their face. So what kind of Bigfoot do you know is gonna actually start a fire, then throw it in someone's face? That just doesn't seem like something that they would do. Because they're very elusive creatures, for one. Okay. Number two, we're talking about Bigfoot who have only been known to be seen in the woods. You never see exactly what they do to survive in the woods. There's been talk about how they knock or slam a thick branch up against a tree to communicate with the others of their species. Even if they're far away, if you hear a knocking noise, that's what that is. That's a Bigfoot communicating with someone. Now, you yourself can do that just to see if you're gonna hear that. But you gotta watch out for an echo. If you hear echo, that's not them. That's you, the echo from that hit on that huge tree. But you take the log not log, but thick branch, and just whack it against a tree a couple of times. And if you hear another knock off in the distance, you know that was a Bigfoot. Now, not saying they're gonna know it was you, but it depends on the type of knock and the rhythm of the knock. I'm not saying that has anything to do with it, but I would imagine they would know if it was one of their kind or a human trying to communicate it with them. Because if you ask me, judging on how they're able to stay hidden for so many decades or centuries or however long, they are intelligent enough to stay hidden. Now, I have said this before about creatures who actually live on different levels. Bigfoot is one of them, I would imagine. Now, I've been told by Gabriel and from other sources that I've heard on like Coast to Coast AM that they were brought here for some other means from another dimension. Okay? Why? Don't know. But still, they are from another level, just like any other creature that you may have heard of, like the Jersey Devil, Dogman, the Mothman, whatever. That Chupacabra. All these creatures come from different levels within the earth. And I don't mean like levels like these layers, like how they've been talking about how our earth is like a hollow earth because of what happened with that rogue earth that hit the planet way before we got here. Of course, I don't know how true that is, but I just know that there are different levels when it comes to different dimensions or parallels of the earth. Okay, so get the whole Bigfoot thing out of your head, because I have never, since I've heard about Bigfoot, heard of any evidence of any kind of animal or human that had their body parts ripped out of their bodies, like tongues and eyeballs and stuff like that. Never in my life. So I don't know why they came up with that idea. Here's the thing. They would rather blame it on a creature that they are more aware of, that is very elusive, and feel like they could do something like that, than for them to say that it was what they was called as aliens or whatever they would want to categorize them as. Now, like I said, those creatures that did, or beings that did that, were the dark ones. The aliens what they call aliens, who not create, but they do all these, weird experiments from what I hear. But they are pretty evil. They don't pay attention to what they're not supposed to be doing. They just do what they want. Okay? So that's my take on that. So yeah, if you want to still think about that's you, but I'm telling you right now, it is not Bigfoot. Now, it doesn't say that in here on the internet. It was on that documentary. And even David Paulides said you do not want to watch that documentary because it's all false. There has never been any evidence of a Bigfoot within the report that was filed about the incident itself. Now, I, for one, don't have that report. I know David Paulides looked at it, and the people that he was working with told him straight up that that was a complete lie. Why they would do that? To cover it up, so that you won't know anything about these beings that do that. And I guess part of it comes from them not wanting to scare people. The other part comes from the fact that maybe, just maybe, these beings would lead them back to them working along with them. I would imagine, because we all know that the government works along with the Greys. You know, they have a meeting place at Area 51 with these beings. Okay, everybody knows about the Greada Treaty that they signed along with these Greys when it came to them wanting to abduct us and try all these weird experiments on us, probe us, or, you know, tag us with these little devices that they put underneath our skin. You know, but they realized that they made a mistake. But they're not going to tell you that, because they don't want the people of Earth to think that their government, who they think is trusted by, Earthlings or civilians, would make a pact with these Dark Ones. They don't want anybody to know about that. But still, somehow we end up knowing about that because of how they have been in the past. So you kind of put two and two together regardless. But they feel like if they didn't tell you that, they don't have to say anything, or they will just go with the fact that they're not going to believe it anyway. Or even if they do believe it, that we don't comment on it, what they going to do? They're the ones that hold all the power, right? Of course. And that's the reason why they don't worry about it. Even if you found about something that they were doing on the internet, all they got to do is deny it. They don't have to say that they don't have to admit to it, because they're not going to do that. They have never done that. Okay, even if they tell you, cause I've heard how they said they were going to reveal information about aliens or do a disclosure. It never happened, and it never will happen if they want to keep control over everything. I'm just saying. But anyway, guys, I am going to prepare for a live chat, and we can talk about a lot of things. If you want to ask questions about the Dyatlov Incident, or just kind of chat about it, what we think may have happened. What are your ideas? And if you would like to, if you want to ask questions about Gabriel's world, feel free to ask. He will be more than happy to give you the information. Okay, so right now I have to make sure that everything is, set so that I can do the live chat because of what happened yesterday morning. I had a lot of technical difficulties, which kind of messed everything up. I didn't want people to start thinking that I was playing with their emotions, so I apologize for that once again. So I'm going to make sure that everything is right before I do it. And then I will set up a note for you guys to see to let you know when it's going to start. And then I'll turn it on and we can do our chat for however long you want to do it. All right. So without further ado, like always, how I end it every time. Aloha, mahalo, and ahuyo. Peace out, badass.